So I've had this question in my head for a long time. What would happen if Liberace and Leslie West created a angry teenage girl? And honestly, that is the origins of Christine here. And yes, that is a cliche name. It's rooted in a valid... well, you'll find out here in a little bit. I want to show this off. This is a project I've had for a little while. And there's a lot more I need to do to this bad boy, bad girl, before it is exactly what I want it to be. Going for kind of a Les Paul Jr. vibe, but obviously a lot more flashy. I traded off a Strat project because I already have a Strat. I got a PV Strat, which we will talk about here in the near future. So I had this project. I really wanted a Telecaster. I already had a Strat that was playable. So I traded off this. It was a brand new body and neck and all these parts that almost ready. It was almost ready to be put together. I just didn't do it. I traded it for a Telecaster project. It was an Affinity Squire. Now, a lot of the Squire stuff is actually pretty good. It really is. There's a few places where they cheap out to keep the price down, but as long as you address those things, they can play and sound just as great as any USA-made Fender. I'm serious. You know, people will say that all day long, but as long as you know what you're doing, you can get a perfectly good instrument out of one of those Affinity or even the Classic Vibe series, which are fantastic for the money. And I mention all that because the one I got, it's not that it just didn't jive with me. It didn't feel right. It didn't sound right. I tried a few things. I set it up every which way I could possibly do it. I tried different gauge strings. We just did not get along. So I sold it. I sold it to somebody who hopefully will get to enjoy it and create with it. So I had this little lump of money that was specifically designated for a guitar and or guitar project. So one late night, I said, you know what, let me see what's on Guitar Center's website for used gear. I hadn't done that before, believe it or not. In the search, this popped up. Well, one of these, I should say, popped up. For $85, I think it was. And I set it aside. I kept looking and then decided, yes, that in-your-face purple or pink sparkly abomination has to be mine. So I clicked to buy it now. And I said, oops, I'm sorry, we can't find that listing anymore. But here are some other options that you may enjoy. To be perfectly honest with you, I did not enjoy those other options. So you snooze, you lose, you know, a day late and a dollar shy. I did not get it. So I went to Reverb just for giggles, and sure as hell, there were a couple of them. There were a couple of these exact model. One stood out because it was $45. Me being the kind of guy I am, I offered him $25. Multiple times. To the point where the guy's just like, look, do you want the friggin' thing or not? And I'll explain why it was cheap here in a second, but I think we came to an agreement. I ended up paying like $38 for it. But the guitar showed up and it just sat there. I played it for a little bit. As is, it had a humbucker, which, believe it or not, didn't sound that bad, but that wasn't what I was going for. I have humbucker guitars. I wanted this thing to be kind of like a flashy, again, Les Paul Jr. What was wrong with the guitar? Well, first of all, it has a couple of blemishes. This is all banged up, and there's another one right here where my pinky is. Aside from that, the guitar is mint. The guitar is awesome. One of the stud posts were, I don't know how to say it. The stud was leaning forward and it had chewed into the wood to a point where the bridge was lifting like this and it was making the strings way too flappy. But I did. I ended up fixing it and it works fairly well. Now, from my point of view, it kind of looks silly. As you can see, there's some T-tape on the, hopefully you can see it, but I put T-tape on both of them. That way, because there was still a little bit of play after I fixed the hole. It is what it is, but it works. It works. It's nice and tight, and it's not working. So what I ended up doing is this old trick that we used to do back in the day. If your bushings were loose, is you take a little piece of newspaper that's just enough to go around it, and you kind of wipe it in some wood glue and put it in there, and it typically does it. But the spacing was so great that I was like, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work at all. And then I remembered I had Gorilla Glue, and Gorilla Glue expands. So I literally just put enough on the piece of paper, wrapped it around the post twice, put it in there, cleaned up the edges, and just let it sit overnight with a weight on it. Perfect. It expanded exactly the way it was supposed to, centered the post, thank God. And I'm happy to say that it not only intonates properly, but the bridge stays where it's supposed to be. Everything's solid. No more flappy strings, and I was happy to finally get the thing playing. But before doing that, I had to get this P90 to fit in the spot with the humbucker. Now, around the edge of where the humbucker is routed out for, if you clean out where the screws go into, a P90 will slot just nicely enough to do it. But there will still be a little bit of a gap in some routes. Sometimes you can get away with it, sometimes you can't. So what I ended up doing is you can buy these little, like a ring that you put underneath it, the P90 itself. And it also helped raise it up a little bit too, because I don't know if you notice where it is in comparison to the strings. That's actually perfect. So with the new riser spacer thing, it just seemed to all align perfectly. Now, I didn't route all the way into the thing in case I wanted to put this back into a humbucking situation. For right now, it's all about the P90. So I got all that together, put the strings on it, saw that the bridge was going to work. And I've been playing it for about almost a week now. Here's why we're calling her Christine, because she won't let you get away with anything. This is one of those guitars that, mind you, it plays great. It plays and feels great. Sometimes it doesn't sound the greatest, but I think that's all in, I'm not used to the P90, so I have to adjust my amps. I have two amps here. I've got a tube amp that's kind of like a Blues Junior clone, and I have a 90s Teal Band Bandit, which we are playing through right now. It took a lot of tweaking. I mean, this thing fought me. The first couple of days I was saying I want to love it so much, but I hate her. I hate her, I hate her, I hate her. And she fought me and fought me and fought me. But you know what? I stuck with it. And I think we found a nice happy medium where we can coexist and enjoy each other's company. And I'm pretty happy with it. Now, the guitar was made by a company called Daisy Rock. I think they're from the early 2000s. I can't remember. But some lady said, you know what? I hate how women are treated in the music industry. So she wanted to inspire young ladies to get involved. So she came up with a line of guitars, and it just so happens that she was married to the president of Schecter Guitars. So they collaborated and came up with a whole bunch of different designs, mostly like butterflies and daisies and heart-shaped guitars. And then they moved into stuff like this. They also have Strats. They have double humbucker, single cuts, all kinds of jazz. They weren't too expensive. A lot of times they would come in packs. So there were a couple of different series. There was just Daisy Rock, and then there was this thing called the Debutant series. Now, I don't know if that was a more budget version of the Daisy Rocks, because this guitar does not feel budget at all. It feels like it's in that $400 to $500 price range. I couldn't tell you what these things cost brand new. But if I were to guess for the time period, this was probably between $300 and $400 or $500, somewhere in that range. And I could be way off, and if you know, chime in down below. It's made of sycamore from my studies. It's got a maple neck, which is slightly smaller in width, but it's got kind of a thick, I'm not going to call it a baseball bat neck, but maybe it feels that way because it's narrower. But it was designed for a young lady to pick it up and be able to play it properly. Now, personally, I think the neck is a little thick for smaller hands, but what the hell do I know? I'm not a little girl. I'm not a teenage girl. I wouldn't be able to tell you either way. I could just say it plays amazing in my hands. I love how this thing feels. And I'm going to guess this is some kind of alternative to rosewood. It's a gorgeous looking fingerboard, which, by the way, is thirsty. Yes, I do need to condition it, and I do need to polish the frets, but that's it. It just comes with your closed back tuners, nothing crazy. A single wraparound bridge, which is a very lightweight. I like the style and the feel of it. I think it's missing some tone, though. I think we might end up going with something brass here in the future. But so yeah, and it came with a humbucker, and there were some packages that had a Strat style fixed bridge. I got lucky enough and found the one with the tailpiece wraparound kind of situation, which is exactly what I wanted. So now the only thing I really need to do is the pot that came in this guitar, the volume pot, cheap little dime-sized pot, gross. I think a lot of the tone is being destroyed by that. Plus, the magic of a P90, a single P90 pickup, not only is the less magnetic field, so the strings can do their thing a little bit better, is having that volume and that tone. There's a ton of videos explaining it. There's just something about a single pickup guitar that does not let you get away with anything, and you have to dial in its sweetness. And I don't have that with a single volume guitar, which is rad if he just has a humbucker in it. But no, I'm doing the whole P90 jazz. So I'm thinking about either getting a concentric pot, which has both a tone and a volume stacked on top of each other, so I don't have to route anymore in here. Or get one of those Fender bass plates that almost look like a Telecaster plate, but has kind of like an angle cut, and then just do a volume and tone, and just leave it your traditional junior kind of setup. I prefer this. I do want to put a Bigsby here, but I don't know if I want to kill the vibe of it. I mean, it's pretty clean as it is. So we're going to have to just take this journey as we take it, and just see where it goes. And of course, as we do things, we will update you, and I will share the journey with you, because that's the whole point of this channel. Again, plus a Disney trip coming up. We're going to be there from the 10th to the 18th. So if you're in Walt Disney World, look for me. Look for me and say hi. And you may end up in one of these videos. Who knows? Who knows? And if this channel ever takes off, you'll become famous at some point. And that's it. So this is Christine. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If this is your kind of content, please hit that subscribe button. I would really love for this channel to grow. Remember, we got a whole 8-9 days of Disney coming up here pretty soon. We'll be there from the 10th to the 18th, so you could probably do better maths than me. So you could figure that out, and I'll try to get something up daily. If not, I'll just take a whole bunch of video and then chop it up over the course of however long. But this is the kind of thing that you enjoy. Please hit that subscribe button. I really want to grow this channel. Guys, thank you always so much for watching. I can't thank you enough. I hope you're doing well. Until next time, take care. And bye-bye.